I don't take any credit for this. A guy had a Eufy home security camera, one of those Best Buy specials that leaked. And when it leaked, he just decided, I'm going to gut it and turn it into a node. It leaked again on him, but he's going to slather it with silicone. It's going to look jank. But hey, it was a great idea, and so I thought I'd go further. So on eBay, there are these ARCCTV. They also go by Camoon, C-A-M-O-O-N, security cameras. I got 2 for $30. And here's the bonus of these things. There's so much going on with these. They're perfectly sealed for all sorts of situations. They can have a ton of batteries in them. They have vents for, things like sensors or for just ventilation or whatever. But there's so much space in here. So I went through a ton of these Harbor Breeze and had a lot of undervoltage issues that caused permanent boot loops and deaths of a lot of the seed ESP32s and NRF boards. This is one that actually is functioning, and I have a bunch more that are functioning just fine outside in Harbor Breeze, but I'm not going to bother with it. It's kind of a waste to take something like this into something as brilliant as this. So what we have here is a security camera, 2 for $30 again, fused, not glued, so there's no leakage here. This is fused in. You can take this off and there'll just be a little ball joint, but at least you have a permanent mount here. These are invisible to humans. I mean, you can put them out everywhere you want, out in the public. Nobody's going to notice them. There's no big deal here. They've just begged to be put out in, on a telephone pole or somewhere like a lot of people do, and they'll be invisible to the human eye. But, aside from being basically 15 bucks a piece and coming with a double battery, 5,000 milliamp of Trust Me Bro benchmark battery, dual 18650, so it's a 3.7 volt. You got that in there. You could double stack maybe 6 in here, maybe 8, if you live in an area where you have horrible winters with no sunlight and you're worried. Sunlight, sure, whatever. These panels, I don't imagine are too powerful. These may be half watt, maybe a little more, but super clean. They're going to be durable. They're going to last. They're close in scale to the other ones from the Harbor Breeze, just a tad bit smaller in a few different dimensions, but they work for a security camera, so why wouldn't they work here? Now these things are massive for what they are. There's a rubber dust cover that I removed that shows the USB-C port. There's the speaker grill right there. Pull it out, use it for ventilation, put a little mini computer fan in there, or use it for sensors. I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to put a Heltec T096 in here with the 28 dB. It's going to be powerful. I'm going to cut a little hole in the bulkhead here, mount a pigtail and what looks like your average 90-degree bend Wi-Fi antenna, of course for 915. But take a look at this thing. So here's the front. I mean, it's your basic security camera. Who cares? But I use a spudger and I ripped this thing off because there's a plastic screw post right here that was stuck to, the camera board, and maybe that's reusable. But there's like this retainer in here that helps keep this in there. You can shave it down probably, but if you take a look, pull it out, and you go, that's a lot of depth, right? That's a pretty deep boy. You pull out the tray, the caddy here, and you can see that it holds the dual 18650, 5,000 milliamps of Trust Me Bro. Fits in there just fine. What I'm going to do is put this back in, put some double stick tape, the T096 across the front here, or T114, slap it on there, use its onboard power management system and its onboard charger. I think it'll be just fine because those things are really efficient. But take a look at the depth in this thing, okay? So again, that's where the dust cover is for your USB-C. You can still use it in the caddy for pass-through for whatever diagnostics or charging, what have you. But if you compare and you look at where that thing lines up to about there, and look at how much space you still have behind the battery caddy. That's a lot of space. You can put your pigtail in there and it's not going to impinge on it, won't flex it, break it, bend it, whatever. You're perfect. You can cut away a lot of this caddy and add more batteries back here, or just retain this and glue it in so you have a panel, or put the rubber dust cover back in there and call it a day and seal this sucker up. But for me, I live in the hills of Los Angeles and I have a bunch of Harbor Breeze nodes sitting around, so I can actually get Meshtastic and Meshcore at home. And so I'm going to, in addition to deploying more harbor breezes to make sure I've got good coverage here, I'm going to start putting these on telephone poles and, around construction sites. And there are a lot of places around LA where this is going to make sense. So I'm going to put these up on, telephone poles and wherever I can in the Hollywood Hills that overlook LA. Think of like the Hollywood sign or the Griffith Park Observatory level of elevation and that view. So since we're in a basin in LA, and the closer you are to the foothills there, the less of the signal you're going to get from the giant transmitters, the One Waters up on Mount Wilson. So with these, I'm going to be able to stitch a lot of the LA meshes together and hopefully repeat over the hill back to the big boys up at the top in Mount Wilson. So I'll put up, medium fast, long fast, maybe a router if I need to for Meshcore, but Meshcore is really well represented and configured around Los Angeles. But you never know, maybe just to add to the mesh, maybe I'll throw a couple of those up because, $15. So across the front here, I mean, it fits a 2096 or Heltec V4 just fine. And if you're really feeling adventurous, here's a 1 watt with GPS for scale. I mean, you can absolutely put a bunch of the expansion boards on this thing for sensors. You have that vent down there. You have a ton of battery capacity in here. So you get a little MPPT or something and a step-up booster, so you can come out to 5 volts to feed the board properly. You have plenty of space. You don't have to mount it like a security camera. I mean, some of you might, just say, oh, I'm going to mount it like this somewhere because I'm not concerned about people caring if it's a security camera or not. You might have a little blockage because of this thing, and it might not fit, an N-type and an alpha. Maybe you use an extension. That's up to you. But the idea that you can fit a 1 watter in here and do stuff with it is pretty cool. The thought that I can take this with a 2.8 dBi antenna from high elevation, and so it's not going to overshoot the nodes directly beneath me, get some really good coverage around LA and help the people that are blocked by the urban sprawl and can't see each other because they're all ground level. I mean, you can have 100 people on the street, but if you can't, if there's no eye in the sky to connect because they're all blocked, what good is it? So mesh gonna do mesh things. So yeah, take a look at these. $30 for 2. Probably gonna go pick up some more. And because like I said, I'm gonna put these in the Hollywood Hills. Even celebrities and the wealthy here in Beverly Hills, you can drive around, you'll see personal security cameras to supplement like the ADTs and the rings and the UFIs and all the other stuff. You'll see these all over town. Not only will you see them, stuck on public utility poles, but this is crazy. I mean, I've seen some like 2x4s, 10 foot tall, staked in the ground, not even with like just a post digger they put a hole in, they didn't set cement or put a cleat in or anything. They just stuck a pole in the ground and then screwed a couple of these to it. And that's what some people are using for their own personal neighborhood watch stuff. So something like this is going to be pretty cool. Back on the idea of like figuring out what kind of camera this is and just the way that this sets up, I think I have a great opportunity to expand and do LoRaWAN and maybe mount some ESP32 cameras on this stuff, do some LoRaWAN and ATAC in these things and get some really nicely well deployed stuff. The apps that these things use do try to do they want to connect to Wi-Fi and they want to do a phone home. And that's okay, whatever. If you have it close to your house or a Wi-Fi that you can access and hop on and piggyback and sneak in so you can do some IP camera stuff, okay, whatever. But if you're going to remote stuff, I think LoRaWAN might be something fun to play with, and OpenMNA and that kind of thing. Because you can stake these things all over the place and nobody will know. I'm also doing stuff with trail cameras. Trail camera will be probably a couple of videos away, but trail cameras, because we do have tons of wildlife. We famously have mountain lions, deer and coyotes, skunks, bobcats here in the hills of Los Angeles in the Santa Monica Mountains. So you're probably going to put a couple of those up and people go, oh, it's just using them for, wildlife tracking. But this is another footnote, another important footnote. I'm going to take a label maker and I'm going to print out on here like the hash, the ID on this thing. But I'm also going to put something on here that looks like an asset tag with some kind of cryptic name So if people look at this, they're just going to think it's part of another larger system that somebody else deployed and not just some random guy, me, putting this shit up on poles and structures around Los Angeles. And I think it might be a pretty good idea. I mean, look, we're doing mesh stuff here. We're not using it for nefarious reasons, but, you know, somebody might want to pinata it in a bad neighborhood, or if you're surrounded by a lot of kids, highly unlikely. Just, you know, climb taller trees. But I think these are going to be a pretty useful thing. So again, Camoon or the ARCCTV brand seem to be pretty good. Like I said, I'm going to put a couple of these up. I'm going to test these at home for about a week or two before I deploy them in the wild, because I want to make sure I don't kill them. I want to make sure that the batteries don't die. I want to make sure that everything has a good lifespan. If I don't like this, I'll probably put two 21700s in here, one or two, and because these will be getting a lot of traffic, so I imagine they'll drain. So, and then a CN3791 controller board, and that way we'll make more use, get more juice out of this than maybe what the onboard charge controller will do from Heltec. But anyway, I hope you guys find it useful, and, you know, happy meshing.